At Cynthia Rogers, MD Dermatology, we specialize in providing comprehensive expert care for the full spectrum of skin conditions, from complex skin diseases and skin cancer to aging concerns and aesthetic needs. With decades of combined experience in medical, surgical, and aesthetic dermatology, our team brings both deep clinical knowledge and a patient-first approach to every visit. Our practice focuses on developing personalized treatment plans tailored to each individual's skin, health, and life stage. We're located in Port St. Lucie, Florida, in the PSL Professional Center. Learn more or schedule a visit at floridaskindoctor.com.
Steel Graphics and Designs creates custom racing wraps and logos built for the real world and iRacing. From bold liveries to clean, professional branding, every design is made to perform on and off the track. Ready to upgrade your look? Contact Steel Graphics and Designs for custom wraps. Visit Steel Graphics and Designs on Facebook to learn more.
Backed by 70 years of experience, Duncan Water Systems specializes in commercial and residential water system testing, design, installation, and maintenance. Our mission at Duncan Water Systems is to provide high-quality water solutions to every customer. We pride ourselves on being responsive, honest, and customer-oriented. Our priority is safer water for you and your family. Contact us via call, text, email, or visit us at duncanwatersystems.com.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome to Chase Race number 4 of the Florida SkinDoctor.com BTDY Racing Series. Tonight, we hit the halfway point of our chase for the championship as we head to one of the best car track combos on the service for the next gen at Kansas Speedway for the Duncan Water Systems 210. Who will tame this mile and a half and cement themselves as a championship favorite? We'll find out live tonight right here on VSPEED. Good evening. Thank you for tuning in. My name's Daniel Cunningham, joined as always by Adam Baker, running the production truck and doing co-commentary. And as always, those camera angles courtesy of Dougie Beard. Adam, I know I just said it in the intro, but this is one of my favorite tracks on all of iRacing. I absolutely love Kansas, the multi-groove, one of the best tracks out there. How are you feeling about this race tonight?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Definitely always puts on a show in these next-gen machines. Really wide racetrack. It's pretty unique to drive for a mile and a half as well. There's some similarities with, maybe like a Las Vegas or some of those, other tracks that have the long sweeping front straightaway, maybe Chicagoland as well, but has its own characteristics, that's for sure. Talk to some of the drivers out there tonight, and it's going to be a bottom-heavy race, not as much of the wall riding that you are accustomed to seeing here at Kansas, and not using all of that, 17 degrees of banking up there at the top of the racetrack. These next-gen machines seem to be gripping pretty well down low, so that's going to make things interesting, all fighting for that same area on the track, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting one here this evening. Talked about this being the halfway point of the chase after tonight's race. Taking a look at the point standings, Adam Cabot still holding on to that 4-point lead over Braxton DeWeese. Bailey Turner just 11 points back. Chris Samard 17 back. Ray Massey and Dallas Sullivan there tied for the 5th position at 20 points back. And, from there, that right side of the board, you look at Seth Hatchell, 25 points back. That's almost a full race that he is back in points with the field sizes that we've been having. So those drivers on the right-hand side definitely have their work cut out for them. And then there is also that prize for the best of the rest, which Paul Hahn is currently leading. Rob Liedl directly behind, 28 points back for that. Thomas Brendel in that mix as well. So a couple of battles to keep an eye on, but that matchup between the 17, the 00, and the 24 has really been heating up here as we've gotten into this chase. And I mean, really, even Chris Samard, too, you could throw him into that as well. So a lot still to be settled. And of course, we've still got a couple of wild card races to go here in this chase, but we've got the field set for tonight's race here at Kansas. It's time to go ahead and bring you your starting grid for the race here this evening. And, Adam, I don't think there's going to be any surprises when we take a look at this front row, because Adam Cabot is going to be starting on the pole here this evening. To his outside, Bailey Turner in the 24s, going to be rolling off in P2. Taking a look at the second row here this evening, Jeff Wright coming back, making an appearance here. He's going to roll off in P3 with Braxton DeWeese starting in the 4th position. Dennis Faircloth with a really strong qualifying effort here this evening. He's going to roll off in the 5th position with Ray Massey starting in 6th. P7, that's going to be Chris Samard in the 77. Seth Hatchell in the 8, rolling off in 8th here this evening. And rounding out your top 10 is going to be Cody Maurer in 9th. And one of those best of the rest contenders, Rob Liedl, starting in 10th.
Rolling off 11th here tonight, it's the 22 of Angelo Ronis, one of our chase drivers as well. And Dallas Sullivan right there with him in 12th. Rolling off 13th, James Loveland making his return to the series after missing a few weeks here in the chase. Good to see him back. Cody Adkins going to roll off from 14th here tonight. Starting at 15th, it'll be Michael Jones in a new look number 2 machine. Paul Hahn going to start from 16th in the currently leading the best of the rest as we went over there. Thomas Brendel also chasing that opportunity for best of the rest, rolling off 17th. Alan Dice going to start in the 18th position tonight, and Zach Smith will round out your field in the 19th spot as the driver's going to get rolling here.
19 drivers taking the grid here this evening for Kansas. We'll go ahead and take a quick look at our race analysis as well while the drivers get their pace lap in. 140 laps on the board here this evening. Pit window going to be somewhere between 50 to 55 laps. May see some drivers try to undercut it a little bit, just depending on how much tire fall off we end up getting here this evening as well. Got 6 sets of tires for these drivers, 5 in the pits, plus the one they're starting on. 3 green, white checker attempts, and as always, the 80% fuel here this evening. But 140 laps on the board. Looks like your pole sitter, Adam Cabot, is going to take the high lane here to start off this race. See a bit of a warm one out there today, too. 82-degree air temp, 120-degree track temp. So maybe a little bit more tire wear coming into play as a result of that. But it is time to get this race fired off here this evening from Kansas Speedway. Pace car lights are off. Pace car making its way down onto pit lane. And we are ready to get racing. Green flag is in the air. We are underway at Kansas. Those two teammates, Adam Cabot, Bailey Turner, we've seen them racing for the lead, racing for the win quite a few times this season, side by side here on lap number 1. Adam Cabot surely wanting to get the bonus point for leading a lap. Talked about just that 4-point gap coming into the race, almost contact between the teammates, close at the line, but it looked like Turner had to lead by a nose.
Yeah, really close.
The 83 of Faircloth is around. Caution is out. Seth Hatchell gets tagged as well. The 55 of Cody Atkins, Ray Massey in the 23. They're still wrecking, piling into it, getting down into turn number 1. An early caution here.
Not sure how this one started. Looked like the 83 might have made contact with Ray Massey, but we'll take a look.
Yeah, this is on the replay coming through the tri-oval. That is so strange. I'm not sure if maybe there was a little bit of contact there. Be curious to see the onboard from the 23 of Massey there, or if something with just the way that maybe Faircloth crossed the wake. I don't know. That is really strange. It didn't look like there was any contact between the two of them. Yeah, and even Dennis Faircloth sounded, I mean, he sounded just, I mean, flabbergasted on the race comms right there. He said he had no clue what happened. It's almost like he just crossed the wake of some of those cars ahead of him, and it just upset the car. I mean, there may have been a little bit of contact, but if there was, it was very minimal, and it almost just looked like an aero deal.
Yeah, and that was a tough one for some of these drivers to get through. You see Paul Hahn goes for a big slide afterwards. I think that was coming down onto the banking or onto the apron. Yeah, just crosses that transition. The car slips around, and he goes sliding into, I believe that was Ray Massey, who had come to a stop. And also Seth Hatchell involved in this one. Chris Samard got a big piece of the contact there as Dennis came down the racetrack. So a bunch of our chasers involved in this one. And Ray Massey, one of those as well. He came back up into the outside wall. Cody Maurer able to get through. Angelo Ronas looks like he got through, as well as Dallas Sullivan. So just a bunch of drivers caught up in this one. And now already going to be pit farming it, trying to get damage repaired here after lap number 1.
And it looked like Chris Samard may have had some damage to the front of his 77 car. I kind of caught it a little bit there coming down pit lane, that maybe the front end was buckled just a little bit on that car.
Yeah, he got into Dennis as he came down the racetrack, I think.
Yeah, so a lot of drivers here with damage. And, you know, I really feel also in this situation for Seth Hatchell, because he has not had the chase for the championship that he wanted by any stretch. And this race just kind of following that trend. I mean, he didn't do anything wrong. He just wrong place, wrong time, gets caught up in it. Looks like a couple of drivers maybe electing to come down and top off here. I believe the 5 of Alan Dice did that. Didn't see him have any damage, but everybody else, Chris Samard on back, getting damage repaired on this stop. And of course, no fast repair in this series for these drivers.
Yeah, it looks like they did a pretty good job cleaning up the nose of the 77. They pulled that one back out. Seth Hatchell, I'd be worried about the rear axle, because that's exactly where he got hit as the 83 got launched off the nose of Chris Samard. He came up and hit Seth in the left rear, and that car appears to be driving all right. If we go on board with them, we can maybe see the steering wheel It looks like it's steering just fine, so no issues there. Maybe a little bit off center, but not by all that much. So may have gotten that damage cleaned up, may have gotten away with one. And we'll get another shot at it here.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see with those drivers that did come down pit lane and get the damage fixed if they're going to be able to work their way up through the field. Cody Maurer, I mean, he's one of the biggest benefactors of that. He's up 4 spots from where he started. Angelo Ronis and James Loveland up 5 and 6 spots here. Well, just depending on how the timing and scoring shakes out with them being double filed up between 5 and 6 spots. So the drivers that were able to get through it, they gained quite a bit of track position as a result, but a bunch of others, though, going to have their work cut out for them here for the next 135 laps to try to recover. But pace car is off. We're going to go ahead and give this another go here. Bailey Turner, the race leader, takes the inside lane in the restart zone. Green flag back underway here at Kansas, and a great jump here for Turner. He's going to be able to get out to the lead.
Yeah, really nice restart there for the 24 machine. Now his teammates behind him going to battle. That's Jeff Wright in his return to the series, a race winner here. He's looking to the inside, trying to take that second spot away. Good run down the backstretch with the draft from the 24, sends it down in. Adam Cabot going to like to use that top groove, keep the momentum wound up there. Looks like it's going to work for him. Gets back alongside the 48 off of turn number 4.
Yeah, really good side-by-side battle here. And you can see quite a good battle of a bunch of cars a little bit further back as well. Cabot working the high lane right now, trying to take that position away from Jeff Wright. He's going to be able to do so. And starting back around Dallas Sullivan here in the 46, he's side-by-side with the 2 of Michael Jones. And you got Chris Samard and Seth Hatchell trying to work their way back up through the field here as well. Sullivan gets a good bite up on the top. He's trying to find a way back around, but looks like maybe just a little tight on exit, not able to stay in the throttle quite like he needed to.
Yeah, that was a really strong run through the center. He's got a lot of speed right now. Seems to have it hooked up in that top groove, kind of one tire over the seam. You can see Alan Dice was trying to follow suit there, but got a little tight off the exit of turn number two. And just had to check up a little bit, but they're kind of the 2 kind of venturing the highest on the racetrack. Michael Jones starting to take a peek up there as well, and Adam Cabot, I think, doing that just to try and find some clean air, and he's doing that now, just in that middle groove, getting up above the wake from the 24 machine, and so he can get a little better drive through the center.
Yeah, and you know, something else interesting that you mentioned with the way that the 46 was running the racetrack, and I will hold that thought because we've got a yellow flag out. It looks like the 91 of Zach Smith is around on the back straightaway, and pretty heavy damage. Looks like he's going to go ahead and tow that back to pit lane here. So under caution for the second time early on. And this is actually going to lead into what I was getting ready to talk about. So he gets a little bit loose on the exit of turn number 2, and right when he gets loose is when that left rear tire actually crosses the seam. So he's running in that middle lane, and as soon as that left rear crosses the seam where the banking transitions a little bit, the back end just starts to wiggle and not able to hang on to it. And, you know, that was something that I saw Dallas Sullivan doing. When you're running in traffic, if your car's a little bit tight, sometimes these drivers will kind of straddle those seams with the progressive banking here. You can use that to make the car rotate a little bit. But in this instance, I mean, you want to try to avoid them on corner exit, and it definitely bit the 91 there.
Yeah, these next-gen machines are definitely finicky when it comes to any kind of banking or surface change. Or a bump in the road even, right? We saw that at Texas this past weekend with drivers just going over that bump out of turn number 4, and lots of drivers spinning out, having issues, and that's really all due to the stiff suspension in these next-gen machines, and that's kind of the case of it right there. The 91 machine just got over the seam a little bit too late in the turn and lost control just a little bit. He almost hung on to it, you could see, and then he fought it back to the right, and that was all she wrote.
Yeah, these cars are so counterintuitive compared to, I mean, any other stock car that you drive. You know, as a race car driver, Adam, you know that when the car starts to get loose, you instinctively want to counter steer back into it and try to correct it. But with the next gen, it just seems like if you do that, it leads to more problems. You're almost better off to just cut it left, lock it down, and just hope you don't hit the inside wall then. But I know that's gotten me in this next gen quite a few times trying to counter steer back into it. And then when the tires finally do hook up, it just ends up turning you right into the outside wall. So unfortunate there, but puts us back under caution for the second time here early on. Bailey Turner, your race leader, Adam Cabot in second. Got Jeff Wright, Braxton DeWeese, and Angelo Ronis, your top 10, or your top 5, rather. Rest of your top 10 as they run under caution. James Loveland, Dallas Sullivan, Cody Maurer, Seth Hatchell, and Alan Dice. So looks like some of those drivers that came down pit lane to get that damage fixed still showing pretty decent speed. Haven't been able to navigate back around any of those that didn't get caught up in that initial incident, but able to keep pace pretty well there on that last short run.
Yeah, Seth Hatchell, kind of the first of those drivers, currently running in the 9th position. We'll see how he does once we get back up to full song and see what kind of aerodynamic issues or suspension issues he'll have at full speed. But so far so good in terms of getting back kind of up to the, you know, the pace, the full pace of that car. Similar to what we saw from him at Dover, right? Had the early issue, got it repaired, and then had a later problem coming to pit road under green. But that looked like a race that he could come back and win. And, you know, he's probably hoping that he has that same kind of speed here today.
Yeah, and it looks like Michael Jones, Chris Samard, Cody Atkins, and Paul Hahn did all come back down pit lane on this caution to get some more damage fixed. Though I believe Michael Jones was just a top off with fuel for him. But we'll see if that helps those drivers out any as we go on here. Pace car is off. Bailey Turner, again, your control car. Green flag back out. Another good jump for the 24 as we're back underway here at Kansas after working the second yellow flag. But the battle side by side, well, it was side by side for a moment for a second, but Jeff Wright able to clear through. Adam Cabot, though, trying to fight back on the outside.
Yeah, on board here with Angelo Ronis looking at that battle for second place. Cabot up there just barely on the seam, crosses back over, kind of riding to the inside of it up until the corner exit. And that's giving him really good momentum here on the front straightaway. Angelo Ronis kind of pinched down in this battle with Braxton DeWeese. And then Dallas Sullivan right there by himself. Seth Hatchell's gotten the 7th position and battle behind him. James Loveland, Cody Maurer side by side. And then nearly 3 wide as Alan Dice looks to the outside of Michael Jones. And Chris Samard going to work his way to the inside, trying to make some positions back.
And Alan Dice looks like he's got some pretty good speed up on that high lane, carrying a little bit of momentum. He gets back to the outside of the 77. Of course, Chris Samard, we don't know how much damage he's still dealing with. He did have a pretty significant amount there on the front end. Looks like visually it's not looking too bad right now, but may still have some lingering aero effects from that.
Yeah, able to slot in front of the 5 of Alan Dice. And Alan kind of cut him a break there. It looked like he had a pretty good run on the top as this battle for third now. Braxton DeWeese down to the inside of Jeff Wright. So Braxton, who was on the top side battling with Angelo Ronis, is now switched to the inside lane. And we'll see how this works for him. This was the preferred groove for qualifying and practice. And you can see Jeff Wright up there on the top side, really off pace. Not sure if he was just trying to save his tires a little bit. But we're not seeing a ton of fall off just yet, so I'm not sure what is going on. Maybe just got a little bit of damage or into the wall, but he's starting to fade already back from the top 3. And here comes Angelo Ronis, maybe going to challenge him for 4th.
Yeah, could potentially be a little bit of tire saving, or even potentially just saying, hey, I'm not here racing for a championship. Not going to race too hard here on lap 17 of 140. Could be a little bit of both in that instance, but right now, Jeff Wright slots into the 4th position. Dallas Sullivan looking to the inside of Angelo Ronis, trying to get his way up into the top 5 here for the first time this evening. Angelo doing a good job fighting back on the outside in that black and white 22 machine. Still got the position for now, but you mentioned that inside lane being kind of the preferred way around. but Sullivan not able to take it away just yet. Angelo able to hang on and put a little bit of dirty air on the front of that 46 car through 1 and 2 that last time.
And Cody Maurer having a very strong opening run, still up 2 positions from where he started. And Seth Hatchell had closed up to his back bumper, but it looks like the dirty air may be starting to affect him a little bit as he's gotten into that wake. And then James Loveland, Cody Adkins, Chris Samard, all these guys battling back here, just at the latter part of the top 10. And good run by the 55 on the top. A little bobble on the exit of the corner, and that was something that, you know, I was seeing in practice as well. If you push the car a little too hard off of turn number 2, guys are getting loose up there on the top side or in the wake of another car. Big hit to the outside there for James Loveland.
Yeah, that was a pretty good hit to the outside wall. And, you know, you talked about that 55 of Cody Adkins. It's a little surprising he's still got that speed, but I'll hold that thought. We got a battle for the lead going on here as Bailey Turner using that top lane, trying to play a little bit of defense here. The teammates, he and Adam Cabot, not really racing like teammates, but, you know, Adam, I think we've kind of become accustomed to seeing that. They will race each other harder than anybody else on track. And Bailey Turner was not afraid to cut down in front of the 17 there and put that dirty air back on the nose of Adam Cabot and able to stretch the lead just a little bit here as a result of that. The Cabot with that top lane carrying a ton of momentum. So, I mean, even though we talked about the bottom lane being preferred, it seems like the longer we get into the run, that top lane is coming into play, especially over in 1 and 2. Just a little bit more than maybe what we anticipated.
Yeah, it seems to be working pretty well. I think the car is a little light up there over that top seam, though. We'll ride on board here with Adam Cabot as he goes around turns 1 and 2, crossing and kind of straddling that seam right there. Didn't see any issues with the handling that time off of turn number 2, but definitely kind of running the risk of, you got the outside wall right there, first of all, and then these cars aren't real happy with the seams on the racetrack, but doing a solid job. Not able to make up any ground over these last sets of corners, but right in the battle there with the 24. Braxton DeWeese starting to close in on those top 2 as he's put 1.5 seconds between himself and Jeff Wright, or rather 3/4 of a second. It's a 1.5 from Bailey Turner back to Jeff Wright. So that has settled out a bit, and they've all spaced out now, single file up here until you get back to Dallas Sullivan, who's battling with Seth Hatchell.
Yeah, and Seth Hatchell doing a nice job recovering from that early damage. And both he and Cody Adkins, I was starting to touch on Cody there before we got that battle for the lead. But Adkins had, I mean, a really hard hit on that initial caution, the first one of the race. And he's made 2 trips down pit lane, gotten some damage repaired as Dallas Sullivan into the wall when he was side by side with Seth Hatchell there. Like, just maybe got a little loose, gets up into the wall, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. Not able to get the car out of the outside wall.
Yeah, just a little loose, and then hooked it right, similar to what we saw from the 91 machine, but didn't get as dramatic, turning back to the right. And meanwhile, he's settled in here behind Seth Hatchell, but I think that car is going to probably start to feel the effects of that really tight battle between Cody Adkins and Chris Samard, though, nearly door to door. And that's the battle for 10th, 9th and 10th, and then James Loveland right there, kind of rounding out this lead group. 11 cars within 4 seconds of each other, and then you've got to go back to Paul Hahn a few seconds back. I believe he's got some damage still lingering on that car. Michael Jones, Alan Dice has faded back here to the 14th position after what looked to be a good sequence at the start of this race for him, but obviously feeling some effects of the initial wreck as well.
Yeah, the 46 of Sullivan, you can visually see it on the right front of his car. It is, it's definitely hurt. He got into that outside wall pretty good, just like you mentioned there, and even makes a little bit of contact here on the entry to 1 and 2. So he's probably hoping for a caution that he can come down and get that damage repaired and try to get himself back in the battle here, because we know he's got plenty of speed in that 46 machine. He's running up borderline. He's really close to the top 5 before that incident happened. But you know, the longer we go here tonight, Adam, and this may seem like a weird comparison, but this is kind of starting to remind me of a Darlington race where you just don't want to make a mistake. You got to race the track and not the people around you. It seems like that may be exactly what you need to at least pull out a good finish here tonight.
Yeah, I talked to Seth a little bit before the race, and he said it feels weird. Like, it felt like the car just felt weird here. It didn't feel like traditional Kansas. So it might be a combination of, you know, some recent updates here on iRacing. Could be the weather with the hot track temps, but the way that the setup is working and this car is getting around here, it's not normal compared to what these guys are used to. So everybody kind of learning on the fly. You can see even there, Bobble from Bailey Turner.
Oh,
those
yellow
guys,
is out. Looks like the 0-2 and the 55 were the 2 cars involved on that one. Cody Atkins hitting sideways through 1 and 2. He got the rear of the car into the wall. Go back and take a look on the instant replay for this one. We were just talking about Atkins with having a good recovery. He gets into the wall a little bit there on entry, and then, yeah, just loses it getting down into turn 1. James Loveland, wrong place, wrong time. Gets a little bit of damage there as well, both from the contact from the 55 and with the wall.
yeah, nothing James could really do there. I mean, he went to the top side as they both got in the wall, actually getting into turn 1, but that really upset Cody's car a lot. James gets hit in the left front, bounces off the wall with the right side. So that's going to be a bit of damage for him to get cleaned up. And same for Cody Adkins. So those guys will probably be on pit road here for an extended stop. At the front, though, the leaders have yet to bring it down. This will probably be a good time with 6 sets of tires. And we've got 30 laps under green, or, you know, on the tires, I guess. But we'll see what they elect to do. It looks like everybody is going to bring it in here. Led by the 24. A little contact between the teammates getting down to pit road speed.
They can't even avoid running into each other on pit road. I'm telling you, it's crazy. Those two have been side by side pretty much all season. And Adam Cabot still kind of playing a little bumper tag with his teammate on the way down the pit lane here. And of course, those two drivers having the first 2 stalls here as well. So they get it sorted out, though, and get into their pit boxes. The entire field going to make their way down pit lane. Still got 14 cars on the lead lap as they currently run. But take a look at the race off of pit lane here. Looks like Adam Cabot is going to beat his teammate Bailey Turner out of the pits. So that'll give him P1. Turner will be second. Braxton DeWeese, Angelo Ronis, and Jeff Wright, your top 5. Rest of your top 10 on the race off pit lane. It'll be Seth Hatchell, Chris Simard, Cody Maurer, Michael Jones, and Paul Hahn, with a few drivers here taking an extended stop. It's Dallas Sullivan, James Loveland, and Cody Atkins getting some damage fixed.
Yeah, good stop there by Adam Cabot. A little faster in the box and a half second faster on pit lane. That probably comes from him running into the back of his teammate just a little bit. Maybe he was a little faster at certain points on pit road, just right up against that limit. And Bailey Turner maybe just a little more conservative, getting down into the box, things like that. But that's resulted in a position change. Also, really good job by the crew of the 22 with a 14-second flat, and Chris Simard's crew 13.9. That's the fastest of anyone so far here today. So he's up in that 7th position, right where he started, trying to rebound from that damage in the initial wreck.
Yeah, doing a nice job with the rebound here, but this has been a bit of a wonky one so far. I mean, 3 cautions, just the 1 lead change to this point of the race, but 3 cautions in 30 laps is not a characteristic race here at BTDY.
Yeah, we've had a few races where it can get out of hand, but this is a small field and a 1.5-mile racetrack. You don't tend to see that happen, and these have been kind of unique incidents as well, where the car just seems to kind of get away from these guys kind of out of nowhere. So a little bit of like what we saw from the real Cup race at Texas, I think, come into effect here as well. And we'll see if we get a nice long green flag run, because these guys are getting close to the distance where they could potentially make it on just one more stop.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really close as it looks like we're going to get one more lap under caution here. I believe there are still a couple of drivers trying to get caught up to the field. A couple of drivers that requested an EOL penalty due to damage that hadn't quite gotten, the rest of the field hadn't quite caught up yet. So, going to extend this one more lap. Might be a little bit of a weird pace lap here with having to let the pace car by as it's just exiting pit lane. But
Yeah,
front row will be Adam Cabot, Bailey Turner here for this restart, and Cabot with a chance to take control of the race again.
yeah, it's always weird when something like this happens and the pace car is so much slower than the field, and everybody's like, "What are we waiting for?" And you can't really see the pace car sometimes until it's right on top of you. I know I've been scared quite a few times by the pace car just showing up right in my mirror when I wasn't expecting
Yeah,
it. He's driving away from the field now.
yeah, I was just thinking about some of the iRacing pace car jump scares that I've had. It seems like it usually comes up at like super speedways where you're already bunched together. You can't see it in your mirror. You can't see it on the relative. Next thing you know, the pace car is driving through you, and you're thinking that you're you thinking that somebody just net coded through you or something. But yeah, happens to everybody at some point on the sim. But gonna go back green this time around. Did not get another extension for the caution. Green flag back out in the air. Adam Cabot with a really good jump here is able to get ahead of the 24. But Braxton DeWeese trying to follow him through and get his way up into second.
Yeah, good restart from the 00. And Braxton has been good on these mile and a halfs this season. He's been in the top 5 all race long after starting in the 4th position, looking to try and get the runner-up spot as wow. Big move from Bailey Turner down into turn number 3, going to shut the door right in his face. And Braxton going to settle into that 3rd position. Now here comes Angelo Ronas to the outside of Jeff Wright. And Angelo, who was able to navigate through the lap 2 incident, or lap 1 incident rather, is up here into the top 5 now, up 6 positions from where he started. And how about Alan Dice? He's back into the top 10.
Yeah, really good recovery for the 5 car. Worked his way back up into the top 10, like you mentioned. Talking about the recovery drive, Seth Hatchell now back up into the 6th position. He's done a nice job recovering from that lap 1 damage. It seems like the car really isn't any worse for wear either on that number 8. So quite a few drivers that, despite the issues, have been able to work their way back up through the field. But I guess, you know, eventually if everybody runs into an issue, maybe it puts everybody back on level playing ground.
Yeah, that's probably what some of these guys are hoping for. Is how about Cody Maurer? He's going to get into Chris Samard as we're on the... Oh, big hit.
That is likely going to be a night ender for the 77. Massive hit directly to the front of that machine. If not a night ender, that one's going to at least be the end of a competitive night. And it looks like he has actually towed that 77 back to pit lane. So we'll go back and take a look at this one on the instant replay. Howard drives in on the bottom, and it was hard to tell there at first, but did the 18 maybe clip the apron a little bit and then come up into the 77? It looked like he might have gotten just below that white line just a little bit.
Yeah, it just gets a little bit below. The car shoots up. Really dove into the corner hard. I think was looking for a little running room there, and there was just barely enough width for a car, and he just got it a little too low. And that's a big hit for Chris Samard. That may be one of the biggest hits he's taken all season, and probably just did not expect it, but full speed into the outside wall. Probably 175 miles an hour right there.
Yeah, and you could see it too with that 18 car when Maurer got down on the apron. You could see the left front came up just a little bit when he hit that lack of banking down there on the bottom and just shoots the car up the track. But a few drivers electing to come down pit lane for what I would assume would be a fuel-only stop here. This would be 102 laps to go, although Bailey Turner is taking tires. I'm wondering if that may have been no, it was a 2-tire stop, so that was definitely a calculated move on his part. But it seemed like not very long of a run to come down and put 2 more tires on it.
Yeah, they've been out there for 7 laps, but yeah, I don't think that the majority of that has been green, right? I think only about 3 or 4 laps there. So yeah, interesting move. He might have a tiny advantage as the run goes on, but he's not going to have a tremendous advantage, that's for sure. And it doesn't look like anybody else took tires there except for Dallas Sullivan. He did take a 14.6-second stop, so that should be a 4-tire pit stop for him. So Dallas will be on the freshest tires all around. Cody Maurer getting the EOL for the cause of that one. Chris Simard has taken it behind the wall. So the 4th place driver in points going to be out of this one.
Yeah, that's a heartbreaker for him because, we talked about with everybody from basically 7th on back in the points where Seth Hatchell was essentially being a full race back in points, with the field sizes that we've been having. 25, 26 points doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're having 20-car fields, it's a lot harder to make that gap up. And now with Chris Simard, he was, I believe, 20 points back coming into the race. So now this is just going to hurt that championship effort of his even more. So still got plenty of time to make it up, especially with Talladega still on the schedule. You never know what's going to happen there where we head off to next week. And we also know that Talladega tends to produce a little bit larger field, so possibility to make up some more ground there as well.
Yeah, and it's a good opportunity to get a win and, yeah, like you said, make up a lot of points. But that's a big hit to his championship hopes. Had really had a good, solid start to the chase, and this is going to be his first major setback in that, as Adam Cabot will lead us to the green flag once again. Seth Hatchell now joining him on the outside. Alan Dice, Cody Atkins in row 2, and Braxton DeWeese, Jeff Wright, row 3. Good jump for the 17. Hatchell going to be under fire from Alan Dice into turn number 1.
Yeah, and a bit of a wonky restart. A lot of drivers electing to come down and top off, so most of the drivers in one lane on the bottom. But as you mentioned, side by side here, Seth Hatchell in second. Alan Dice now looking to the inside, trying to take the third position or take the second position away, currently in third. Braxton DeWeese now also trying to find his way around. So the mix up on pit strategy here has definitely jumbled the field just a bit.
Yeah, and we still don't know if the 8 machine is battling any kind of ill handling effects from that initial wreck. Battle for that third position. Braxton DeWeese, Alan Dice, and Jeff Wright just about to make it 3 wide off of turn 2. Couldn't quite make it stick for the 48, and he had to drift up there and slot in the line in front of Cody Adkins. But Braxton DeWeese committed to the top side, should have a nice run off turn 4 as he brings it down to the middle lane, and now still side by side back towards the start finish line. And Adam Cabot is getting away from all of this. He's nearly a second up the road.
Yeah, he is definitely trying to get out of Dodge and set sail here, especially with the calamity that we've seen early. You don't want to put yourself in harm's way if you can avoid it. But yeah, he's doing a nice job here. Got that lead right about 9/10 of a second. Still side by side here with Alan Dice and Braxton DeWeese. We're looking on board from the 48 of Jeff Wright. DeWeese trying to get that high lane working, trying to find a way around and keep the clean air on the front of that 00. Alan Dice is doing a nice job hanging with him here for that final podium spot right now.
Yeah, really nice job down there on the inside as they're going to bang doors a little bit off turn number 2. So really tight racing between those two. Braxton DeWeese might have a little better shot at clearing him here this time out of turn 4. He's further along, and he does just that. So Alan Dice going to slot up into 4th, but here comes Jeff Wright. Big move down to the apron. He had a full head of steam there. Going to try and complete the pass and get to the 4th spot. So Alan Dice going to lose a couple there in one fell swoop. But he'll settle in inside the top 5. And now a couple drivers with a little top up on fuel. Braxton DeWeese and Jeff Wright into the top 5 and might have an advantage because of that.
Yeah, those two drivers are doing a nice job working their way back up through the field. Like you said, 2 of those that did come down and top off. The 2 tires, I don't know how it's going to work out for the 24 of Bailey Turner. If we end up going green here, is really where it may end up proving to be an advantage, just having that little bit of extra grip. And, right now, just looking at the lap times, they are only about a half a second off the fastest lap of the race for our leader, Adam Cabot, out in clean air. The rest of the field, anywhere from about 3 to 4 tenths of a second off of their fastest lap. So, not a huge amount of tire fall off to this point, but still haven't had a ton of green flag laps on this set of tires just yet.
Yeah, big run for Bailey Turner there as Dallas Sullivan, big slide in the center of 1 and 2. He hangs on to it. Great job to do that as we see Jeff Wright also go way down the racetrack. And I did see it, I believe it was Braxton DeWeese caught the wall just a little bit into turn number 1. So drivers really struggling with the handling and finding their footing here at Kansas today. Battle for that 6th position. Cody Adkins still on the top side. Bailey Turner looking to the inside, trying to complete that pass, but has not been able to. Cody's fending him off for the moment. Cody Maurer looking on to see what happens between those two.
Yeah, Cody Atkins has had probably about the most eventful night so far of any driver. He's been caught up in 2 cautions, gotten damage in both of them, and still finds himself just outside the top 5 as he just lost the 6th position here to Bailey Turner. So, I mean, all things considered, he's doing a fantastic job for all the adversity that he's faced up to this point. As you can see there, we caught it just momentarily, the 00 of Braxton DeWeese side by side with Seth Hatchell getting into turn 1. He's got a huge run on the exit of 2. We'll see if he tries to go to the bottom with it. He is going to do so. And it looks like he's got plenty of speed on the bottom to try to take the position away. He will indeed be able to take P2 away from Hatchell.
And I tell you, it just looks like these cars are driving on ice a little bit. I mean, Braxton DeWeese gets loose down there on the apron, able to collect himself, but that's going to allow Seth Hatchell to get right back alongside. And these guys got to be careful exiting the turn so low and driving down on that flat apron. Man, some of these guys are already starting to slide off of 2 there as well. Cody Adkins, saw him get a bit of a bobble there, and they're just 18 laps into the run. This has not been a super long run to this point, so I think the track temp's really affecting how these cars are driving here.
Yeah, this is definitely not the Kansas that I'm familiar with, and it goes back to what you mentioned. You talked to a few drivers pre-race, and they said it feels weird. It doesn't really feel like a typical Kansas race, but the drivers navigating the best they can so far. As see a side-by-side battle here between the 2 of Michael Jones, the 46 of Dallas Sullivan. Sullivan working that top lane, and you mentioned a new look for the 2 of Michael Jones. Good-looking Caterpillar scheme there for him. Kind of giving the Ward Burton vibes there.
Yeah, nice-looking car. Always liked the old Cat cars, and yeah, good look for him. Shifting away from what was the silver machine before. And so definitely trying to turn the tides for his championship or his chase performance. And right now just outside the top 10 in this one, but looking to get up into the top 10 in the point standings as well. So Adam Cabot out here in front, 1.1 seconds now, the gap over Braxton DeWeese, as he's gotten by Seth Hatchell. Jeff Wright has also gotten by the 8. So Hatchell back to the 4th position. Bailey Turner back into the top 5, and he's closed up to these guys. So maybe the tire's starting to play an effect as he's actually the fastest car on the racetrack.
Yeah, he's about a 10th per lap faster than race leader Adam Cabot, and would just have to think that as this run progresses, that advantage should grow for the 24 of Turner, although you don't know how hard he's having to push in the dirty air. He might be burning it up just a little bit, but he's able to get around Seth Hatchell here, as it looked like Seth maybe got into the wall just a little bit on the entry to turn number 1, allowing Turner to take advantage and get by. But he's got his teammate Jeff Wright directly in front of him for the 3rd position. And then his 2 main championship rivals between Adam Cabot and Braxton DeWeese, the next 2 up the road from that. So see if he can make any more ground, as Cody Maurer, who was given the EOL for that incident with Chris Samard, trying to work his way back up through the pack here. Looking to the outside of the 22 of Angelo Ronis, and they got Cody Maurer in tow, or I'm sorry, Cody Atkins in tow as well. is a little bit of a door bang there between the two Codys down the back straightaway.
Yeah, a little Cody on Cody violence right there as the 18 going to get the advantage in 3 and 4. Cody Adkins going to settle back into line. These guys running for 7th, 8th, and 9th on screen. So good, solid performances by all of them, all up from where they started, even though they've been involved in things here today. Settling out inside the top 10. James Loveland also, he's back up here after an extended pit stop last time, over a minute in his box. Now back into the top 10. He's gotten by Dallas Sullivan, Michael Jones, and others. But this Cody on Cody battle still continuing. Looks like Cody Adkins going to get the advantage here.
Yeah, that 55 still showing some good speed here, continuing that recovery drive with the damage that he's received. But starting to see this high lane come into play just a little bit here, as both Bailey Turner and Jeff Wright using the high side over in turns 1 and 2. Jeff Wright now trying to close in on the back of the 00 Braxton DeWeese. And this part does kind of remind me a little bit of what I'm used to with Kansas. It seems like that lower groove works better over in 3 and 4. High lane over in 1 and 2 seems to work a little bit better at times. And it seems to be the case here, even with these cars, maybe not driving as traditional as what we would expect here.
Yeah, I think they're just a little less sure-footed up there in that top groove than most of these guys are used to. The 48 that time crossed the seam, and I could see that car start to get away from him, but Jeff Wright, fantastic driver, very capable in these next gens, able to hang on to it and get the speed back underneath him, able to hang on to that 3rd position. Now he's attacking 4nd once again. They swapped lanes. He goes to the bottom. Braxton DeWeese going up to the top, maybe in defensive mode, and he's able to hold on. And all this is going on. They're running pretty much the same lap time as Adam Cabot. So Cabot, even in this clean air, probably not feeling as secure as he would hope with that advantage of the clean air.
Yeah, and the other thing too to remember is now that drivers are starting to get strung out just a little bit, the higher and higher likelihood of green flag pit stops happening at some point. And if that ends up being the case, we know that Adam Cabot is going to have to stop 2 more times. He's not going to be able to stretch it with when he was last on pit lane. Whereas Braxton DeWeese, Jeff Wright, especially Bailey Turner, who came back down with 1 to green and topped off. And we know that those guys, in all likelihood, can make it on 1 stop to the end. So, we've heard Adam Cabot a couple of times this season say that the strategy game between himself and Bailey Turner has come back to bite him. And if it runs green, I'm not saying that's going to be the case again, but it may be the case again.
Yeah, right now Braxton, Jeff, and Bailey on essentially the same fuel strategy. They should all be able to make it on 1 more stop or right at the edge of the fuel window. The rest of the drivers might be able to stretch it. It's going to be interesting to see what happens there exactly. Did just see a moment ago Cody Mowers fall into the tail end of the lead lap here. He had a couple big moments, and right now back to that 13th position. So he went from battling inside the top 10 for about 7th or 8th, all the way back now to 13th. Ray Massey's also returned to the racetrack, and he's got all that damage repaired. His battle for 2nd. Jeff Wright sent it to the inside, pulls a slide job off turn number 4, and able to complete that pass, move the 48 into 2nd place.
Yeah, really nice move there by Jeff Wright to be able to take away that runner-up position. Now Bailey Turner closing in as well, trying to see if he can get around for P3. He's starting to run a little bit faster lap times here. Last time around, Turner was about almost 2 full tenths faster than Braxton DeWeese. Of course, DeWeese was in the process of being passed by the 48. That's going to slow him down a little bit as well. But even this time around, it looks like the speed is definitely with the 24 car, as maybe an issue a little bit further back here. James Loveland slow on the apron coming to pit lane this time around. Let's go back and take a look on the instant replay for this one. We know Loveland has had some damage, and I mean, that is almost identical to what we saw out of both Zach Smith and Dallas Sullivan here this evening. And James Loveland going to bring it to pit lane after that contact with the wall.
Yeah, he was up into the top 10 at one point on this run, and actually looked like his car was handling quite well and actually starting to make up some ground on the long run. But yeah, that's going to be a big setback and likely the end of his race competitively, as Bailey Turner taking a look to the inside for third. Not quite able to make it stick that time off turn number 2. We'll see what he can do here in 3 and 4. Braxton DeWeese committed to the top lane and losing a little bit of the handle on that car, though.
Yeah, and I think the longer we go, that 2-tire call may end up being the way to go here for Bailey Turner in that 24 machine. Looking back to the inside over here in 1 and 2, this is the side of the track that it does not seem to work quite as well, but he does carry quite a bit of momentum on the exit of turn number 2 down the back straightaway. The biggest thing here for Turner is, how do you want to try to set up this pass? It looks like he's going to try to use that top lane here, turn down on exit, and try to generate a run. But just, I mean, we've heard it all season long. These drivers talking about the dirty air. How many times will Turner be able to do that? Is this maybe his opportunity to try to drive it in? And also the
Braxton
double
caught the
zero
wall.
gets into the wall up on the top side. This might be just enough to let Turner take the position, and it is.
Yeah, you could tell Braxton was a little unsettled on the front straightaway. Had that one moment, about 10, 15 laps ago where he came across the apron and the car nearly got away from him. And we saw that happen with Dennis Faircloth there on lap number 2. So it's definitely starting to feel the fall off there in the double zero, whereas Bailey Turner was able to stick it down on the apron and able to shortcut that front straightaway just a little bit. That's what got him alongside into turn 1. Great move by him, as big slide by Jeff Wright. He'll go all the way down to the apron on the backstretch to collect that race car. And about 30 laps into this run here, we're still within a second of our fastest laps of the race, but these guys are not comfortable at all.
No, not in the slightest. And just based off of that, I would be surprised if this race did, in fact, run green to the end. But I mean, we've seen it in BTDY before, where these drivers are able to master these challenging conditions, challenging car handling characteristics, and bring it home in a clean fashion. So we'll see if that is the case here tonight. And, we were talking about the pit strategies, who can make it on one stop, who can't. Just looking at the fuel runs, we said between 50 to 55 laps. Now that I'm sitting here doing the math, it's not out of the realm of possibility that Cabot may still be able to make it on one stop. It would definitely require stretching it to the outermost edge of that fuel window on both of the runs, and he would probably have to save just a little bit as well. That may end up being the determining factor, more so than just if you have to make an additional stop, but how much do you have to save to make it on one stop?
Yeah, it's going to be just stretching it a little bit. I was hearing 52 was like a realistic, range for these guys. 55 if you're saving just a tiny bit, being very conservative. Obviously, there's the fall off you got to factor into it, like we're seeing right now. About a second off the fast laps, a little more off throttle time. So it's possible that Adam Cabot could get that 55 laps out of it. Tough to say exactly. I think there was a moment there for Alan Dice. He just lost a couple of positions. I think Ray Massey got around him, but Ray, of course, about 14 laps off the pace. Cody Adkins able to get around, though, for position and move up to 6th. Top 5 all within 2 seconds. That's pretty impressive with the way this car is driving here at halfway, to see those guys all battling it out. But these have been our, fastest guys all season long.
Yeah, absolutely. Battle for position here between Seth Hatchell, Braxton DeWeese. Seth looking on the inside, trying to take that position away. Looks like he'll be able to slide up in front of the double zero and take P4. And just got to wonder, we saw that contact that DeWeese made with the wall, and it looked like he was struggling with the handling prior to that either way. So just got to wonder if maybe a little bit of lingering effects with that is 55 of Cody Atkins just had a big moment down the front straightaway. Looked like he maybe got loose or got into the wall off of turn 4. Go back and take a look at this on the instant replay. It's certainly been an eventful night for the 55. And, well, I was wrong on both accounts. That's just hitting that transition down onto the flat, which the drivers can use that on the front straightaway. and it just completely upsets the balance of the car and almost spins him out.
Yeah, really close call for him. Alan Dice right here in front of him now, and then Angelo Ronas as well. Seth Hatchell making a move on Bailey Turner. So Hatchell picking up the pace here. He was the fastest car on the racetrack last time around, so maybe he's been saving just a little bit, finding some speed here in the late going in this run. Over 40 laps on these tires. Maybe Bailey Turner's in save mode, though. We've seen that from him before. Maybe he's getting close to a realistic fuel window. And so I'm not exactly sure what is happening there, but he lost a lot of ground, and Seth Hatchell able to get through for that third position. Maybe it was a moment for Bailey, but slow lap for him across the stripe this time. Adam Cabot with a 1.2 second lead. He runs a 31.72. Hatchell with a 31.63, so about a tenth faster. So 8-car finding some pace.
Yeah, and I'm starting to wonder if you might be correct that it might just be a little bit of fuel save out of Bailey Turner with the race kind of trending towards a green flag look here. Although I think that's about the 4th or 5th time I've seen Jeff Wright with that big slide off of turn number 2, but he keeps hanging on to it. So, I mean, he's at least figured something out, but yeah, they would realistically, you would want to go 15 more laps if at all possible. And 15 laps would put Bailey Turner right at, you said 52 was kind of the number that you had heard earlier for the most realistic number without saving. And that would put Bailey Turner right at that number. So maybe just trying to get a little bit of extra insurance here to the end, trying to play a little bit of strategy so he can possibly go harder on the end. Or, I mean, it could even just be that maybe those two tires not agreeing with the 24 car and just throwing the balance off a little bit.
Yeah, we're seeing a few drivers really start to fall off now. Braxton DeWeese, looks like Ray Massey actually going to take a position away here. I just saw him jump up the leaderboard, passes James Loveland, who's out of the race. Cody Maurer brought it down pit road 3 laps ago, so he's running, you know, close to his fastest laps of the race again, and making up some time on the rest of the field. Be interesting to see where he cycles through, but we'll have to pit at least one more time. Meanwhile, there's a battle here, 6th, 7th, and 8th, all under a blanket. Cody Adkins, after his huge moment there on the apron on the front straightaway, able to get back up to 6th. Angelo Ronas back to 7th now, and Alan Dice in 8th. These guys have kind of just swapped positions for the last 10 or 15 laps.
Yeah, if their cars aren't handling very well, could have fooled me, because they are definitely not having any issues racing one another right now. As taking a look a little bit further up the field here, Seth Hatchell now in that 2nd position, and he is starting to run down Adam Cabot by a couple of tenths per lap. Last time around, Adam ran a 31.86 to Seth running a 31.63, so pretty big speed difference here between the two of them, and gotta wonder if we might see those green flag pit stops kick off here in pretty short order. I don't know. I just don't think that Cabot is going to be able to run another 10 laps to really get himself into a comfortable window, even with the aid of the cautions that we've had.
Yeah, I just want to listen on board too and see what he's doing. If there's any type of fuel saving down into the corner, it'll be pretty evident down here on this end of the track. Oh, yep.
Yeah, he's shutting it off. He's completely got that car, or at least clutching it, if not shutting it off. So I think he is indeed trying to get to where he can get to maybe that 52 to go mark, or at least 55, where he can try to make it on one stop. But Seth Hatchell, he is not in fuel save mode right now. But, you know, you've touched on this throughout the season, that Seth is always kind of thinking ahead when it comes to the pit strategies and needing to save and things of that nature. So it wouldn't surprise me if Seth has just been kind of saving a little bit here and there throughout the duration of this run.
Yeah, I think he might have saved earlier when he lost all that ground, and now under 0.8 of a second up to your race leader. So that battle could start to emerge in just a few laps. Taking a look at other drivers on the racetrack, if anybody's getting close to their window, Cody Adkins is in the same fuel strategy situation. Alan Dice as well, so 6th and 7th. Everybody else pit about 7 or 8 laps later, and they should be good to go to about that that mark where they need to get to, but you can see Adam Cabot really heavily saving right now. Seth Hatchell's cut the gap now under 0.4 of a second as they get back down into turn number 1. So he is flying around here. He's faster than anybody by a good margin anyways. So even the drivers who aren't saving, aren't keeping up with the 8 machine.
Yeah, Seth Hatchell, like you said, fastest one on the track right now. And at the rate that they're going, he's going to be able to pretty easily clear Adam Cabot for the race lead, as he is right there on the back bumper looking to the outside. And I don't think Cabot is going to put up much of a fight here if he's needing to focus on hitting a certain fuel number, as the 17 almost goes around on the front straightaway. He's able to get it back under control, but man, I thought it was getting ready to go down there for a second, but he hangs on to it, and that is going to put Seth Hatchell now at the top of the leaderboard. And I think now we're just about at 55 to go. I wouldn't be surprised to see that 17 peel off onto pit lane at any time now. Same with the 8 of Hatchell. Of course, they're going to try to stretch it, if possible, to about that 50 to go mark. But, I know sometimes as spectators, it can be a little bit, I don't want to say boring, because it's not, but like as spectators, you don't always want to see the fuel mileage races, right? You want to see guys going all out, racing each other. But as a competitor, these were some of my favorite races. Just the when do you save? How much do you need to save? Who's going to save early versus trying to wait until the end? There's so much intrigue that goes into it. And when you make those decisions, as the 55 and the 5 both having some issues getting the pit lane here, pretty sure that is going to be a commitment line violation for the 55 of Cody Atkins. I'd be very surprised if iRacing doesn't tag him with one there. And then we saw the 5 of Alan Dice trying to get slowed down to get the pit lane and just completely missed it, as here comes Adam Cabot down pit road for his stop.
Really fast, I think.
Yeah, he got a black flag. That is 100% a speeding penalty for the 17. So
your points leader.
Yeah, your points leader is in a little bit of trouble here. That is going to be, I believe it's a 40-second stop and hold from the iRacing officials for that speeding penalty, and that could very well open the door for us to have a new points leader after this one.
Yeah, I mean, the way it's going right now, Seth Hatchell really pushed the limit there, but I think he got it under the speed limit. Jeff Wright going to stay on the track for a few more laps. These guys can probably go about 5 or 6 more laps, and then they'll have a tire advantage at that point when they come back off the racetrack or off of pit lane. So Hatchell onto pit road. It looks like Alan Dice on pit road. He did miss it the first time. It looked like he was going to try and get in there behind Cody Atkins, but Cody, obviously with his problems, and he's been on pit road and off now back onto the racetrack. Adam Cabot still holding in pit lane, as Seth Hatchell, will effectively put him a lap down. So Adam Cabot still staying on pit road. He's probably got about 10 more seconds, I think, until they let him go.
Yeah, that is going to be an absolute killer for the 17 of Adam Cabot, already 2 laps down. And maybe he'll probably be back to 1 lap down by the time everybody ends up making their way down pit lane, but still gonna definitely hurt the championship cause, as we see the 48 of Jeff Wright taking a wide berth. Yeah, he completely cooked that entrance.
Wow.
He's gonna take the 48 for a little bit of lawn care here through the infield grass. He really did not have any other choice. He was gonna get a massive penalty if he ended up just making the turn on the pit lane, but that is going to cost him a ton of time and put him behind the 8 ball here on track position as well. Bailey Turner now assumes the race lead, and this may just turn into, again, thinking of the Darlington reference I made earlier, it may just turn into an instance of who doesn't make the mistake. Is the 00 coming in hot, but I think he was able to get it slowed down to pit road speed.
Everybody is just really pushing it on the pit road, trying to get everything they can. And I think the temperature of the racetrack, as Jeff Wright does bring it on the pit road this time without any issue. But a good call by him, I think, to not get the violation and, go around the cone there, as Braxton DeWeese slides through the box. So everybody having problems on these hot tires, Seth Hatchell had a nice clean exchange. I think that's going to work out really well for him, as here comes Bailey Turner off onto pit road. Michael Jones will inherit the race lead, so he'll be at the point for the moment. Paul Hahn right here with him in second, and those will be two of our final drivers to bring it onto pit road. It's Dallas Sullivan also has brought it in here. So Seth Hatchell in position to take over the race lead as things cycle back out. And he's working off turn 4. Bailey Turner just getting into the pit box a few seconds ago. So Seth is going to have a huge lead when things get settled back out.
And you know, I don't think that Bailey Turner has a live spotter in the session with him, but it's almost like he did, if you caught that with his pit road entry. Like somebody was telling him, hey, most of your championship rivals have had problems on this pit cycle. Just give us a smooth stop here. We don't need any heroics at the moment. He is going to be quite a ways behind Seth Hatchell as far as the eventual race lead goes. Currently about 10 seconds back of Seth for the race lead. Actually, no, I'm sorry. He's closer to about 11 seconds back. He is going to have 5-lap fresher tires, but I'm just not sure that that's going to be enough to be able to get him to the race lead as we run through this final green flag stint. I think he's going to need a caution to try to get caught back up. And also talking about the championship contenders needing a caution, if one were to fall right now, Adam Cabot would actually be your free pass car as Michael Jones is on pit road. He is showing a black flag penalty for his pit entry as well. He was coming in hot on his pit stop also, and was a little bit sideways entering pit road. So if a caution comes out, the silver lining for the 17 of Adam Cabot is right now he would be in position to get that free pass.
Yeah, I think that's the only silver lining that he's got. This is huge, though, for Braxton DeWeese, Bailey Turner, and others, and also even for Chris Samard, right? He's had his big wreck here tonight. But if Cabot comes home in 9th or 10th, let's say, it's really a minimal points loss, maybe about 5 or 6 points for some of these guys who had a rough night. And then drivers like Seth Hatchell, this is a huge opportunity to cut that deficit and actually have a shot at the championship going into the last 4 races.
Yeah, absolutely is. And, you know, just looking at the lap times last time around, Bailey Turner was 0.6 faster than Seth Hatchell. Let's check what the gap is this time at the line, as Hatchell ran a 31.59 to Bailey Turner running a 31.19. So down to about 0.4. So, I mean, there is a lot of speed in that 24. We also don't know just how hard Seth Hatchell can push, given that he did get some damage earlier in the night, or even if he's trying to maybe save a little bit right now because he does have a 9-second lead, just to give himself some insurance on that fuel mileage.
Yeah, and he does have to go that extra 4 or 5 laps compared to the 24, so that is going to be very tight on the window. He's not going to likely have any cautions to help him out the way that things are spaced out at the moment. So Bailey in a pretty good spot, you know, in terms of being able to just push his car for the rest of this run. But we saw that Seth was really good on the long run, regardless of what the fuel strategy was. So he's going to be likely, you know, just that same kind of pace at the end of the run. And Bailey, you know, going to have to push to get there. I mean, 9 seconds is not something you're just going to get back in a few laps. He's going to have to work at it all of this next 40 laps.
Yeah, definitely got his work cut out for him. And again, Seth is a smart racer. He's going to know that he doesn't need to win by 10 seconds or anything like that. They don't give you more points payout for the margin of victory. You just got to get there first. So probably just doing a little bit of conservation right now as well over Bailey Turner. Braxton DeWeese in that 3rd position. And look at Cody Maurer up there in the 4th position. Good recovery for him. It's got Dallas Sullivan, the next car in line, currently holding down the 5th position. So a couple of drivers here going to have an opportunity to really get some points back and make up some ground, like we've mentioned a couple of times here this evening. But while the field is a little bit strung out right now, just over rather 40 laps to go, let's take a quick commercial break, let you hear from some of our league sponsors. We'll be right back with you to catch the end of this one here at Kansas.
At Cynthia Rogers, MD Dermatology, we specialize in providing comprehensive expert care for the full spectrum of skin conditions, from complex skin diseases and skin cancer to aging concerns and aesthetic needs. With decades of combined experience in medical, surgical, and aesthetic dermatology, our team brings both deep clinical knowledge and a patient-first approach to every visit. Our practice focuses on developing personalized treatment plans tailored to each individual's skin, health, and life stage. We're located in Port St. Lucie, Florida, in the PSL Professional Center. Learn more or schedule a visit at floridaskindoctor.com.
Steel Graphics and Designs creates custom racing wraps and logos built for the real world and iRacing. From bold liveries to clean, professional branding, every design is made to perform on and off the track. Ready to upgrade your look? Contact Steel Graphics and Designs for custom wraps. Visit Steel Graphics and Designs on Facebook to learn more.
Backed by 70 years of experience, Duncan Water Systems specializes in commercial and residential water system testing, design, installation, and maintenance. Our mission at Duncan Water Systems is to provide high-quality water solutions to every customer. We pride ourselves on being responsive, honest, and customer-oriented. Our priority is safer water for you and your family. Contact us via call, text, email, or visit us at duncanwatersystems.com.
Welcome back to Kansas Speedway for the Duncan Water Systems 210 here on VSPEED. Seth Hatchell still your race leader, although the lead is down to about 7 seconds over Bailey Turner, your second place driver. Braxton DeWeese still holding down the final podium position. Dallas Sullivan has now worked his way up into fourth, and Angelo Ronis rounding out the top 5 here as he was just able to get around Cody Maurer for that position. Next driver behind those two is Cody Atkins, who is currently 1 lap down in the 11th position. But yeah, I mean, this pit cycle has really kind of spaced things out between these drivers. We saw some of the mistakes that were made. Of course, Adam Cabot right now in that free pass position. He is praying for a caution to try to get back into this and gain some more spots. But yeah, just the name of the game here this evening is just don't beat yourself. And so far, there's been a few drivers that have kind of fit that mold.
Yeah, it was similar to what we saw at Dover, where there were so many pit road issues, drivers getting damaged, knocking themselves out of it, or getting pit road speeding penalties. In the case here tonight, we saw a lot of drivers miss pit road. The hot tires after a long, 50-plus lap run, and it's already been a struggle out here to keep the handle on these race cars. That's definitely that came into play in that pit cycle. So Adam Cabot, a big loser on that cycle, all the way back here to that 10th place. He's trying to work back onto the lead lap the hard way, and he's a few seconds behind Seth Hatchell, whose lead is now down to 6.4 seconds, but he's just about a tenth to a tenth and a half of a second per lap slower than Bailey Turner. So even at this rate, that was 0.2 there. So that would be close at the end of the race, just over 30 laps to go. But yeah, Bailey's got some work to do.
And we do have another driver that had some issues on pit lane, Jeff Wright in that 48. He just got around Paul Hahn for the 8th position. Closing in on Alan Dice here for 7th. And again, this is another driver. He was right up there in the mix for the race lead before that green flag cycle kicked off, and now finds himself 17 seconds adrift of the race leader. So Just goes to show how much time he lost by way of that pit entry error that he made. But currently taking a look, he gets into the wall a little bit there on the entry of turn number 1, something we've seen quite a few times here this evening. It's got a lot of momentum up on that high lane, going to be able to clear around the 5 of Alan Dice for the 7th position. Next driver ahead for position would be the 18 of Cody Maurer, still about a second and a half up the road ahead of him.
Yeah, and Cody's on an alternate pit strategy. He's still got one more stop to make. He's already gone almost 40 laps on this stint, so he will likely cycle outside the top 12 here once he gets back down on the pit road. He'll have fresh tires and can pretty much push the car as hard as he wants at that point, so expect to see him in around lap 120, if not even sooner than that. Update on the race lead, it's down to under 6 seconds. Seth Hatchell seems like he's really conserving right here as Adam Cabot has closed in. You can see that's about 15 car lengths between those two drivers, and Bailey Turner still about a tenth to a tenth and a half per lap faster. Braxton DeWeese has not been able to close up on Bailey Turner all that much, but having a nice solid run here in that 3rd position as well.
Yeah, and even Dallas Sullivan in the 4th position, really solid run for him here this evening. You know, we documented he had that runner-up finish to kick off the chase at Dover. So looking for his 2nd top 5 finish of this chase here in the first 4 races. He does have Angelo Ronas starting to close in just a bit on him here. And Angelo still, I mean, he just kind of had a quiet night. Just kind of kept it right around this fringe top 5 area. Spent some time in the top 5, had a little bit of issue early on, but worked his way back up through the field and making a pretty good night out of it.
Yeah, he's another driver who could, probably use the points. He's not out of reach for a championship. He's had a really solid season overall and a good chase run. Minimal mistakes, a little bit at Dover, but not like a race ender. Was still able to gain some distance back to Adam Cabot in that race, so he's in the hunt as well. How about Jeff Wright now moving up to 6th place? So he's only about 3.8 seconds outside of the top 5. That is incredible. He definitely has really good pace in that 48 machine, but just the fact that he had to drive through the entire infield and is not that far from getting back into the top 5 speaks testaments to what he's able to do in this car.
Yeah, and he's actually cut about 2 seconds off of that gap to the race leader. Now, granted, he is still over 15 seconds back of the leader, but just kind of underscores how much speed is in that 48 car here this evening. As Seth Hatchell, he's got the 18 of Cody Maurer, who has made that final pit stop of the evening, working around him to the outside here. It is going to cost him a little bit of time compared to Bailey Turner. That gap now under 5 seconds, or hovering right around 5 seconds to your 2nd place driver. And he will have to navigate a little bit of dirty air for a lap or so here until that 18, using the fresher tires, is able to kind of clear himself of Seth just a little bit. But yeah, just as they run right now, that gap between Turner and Hatchell stays pretty consistent when they're both in clean air, just about a tenth to 2 tenths a lap faster for the 24. And with the amount of laps left, Seth Hatchell can afford to give that up per lap, and he's not going to have to worry about a battle for the lead.
Yeah, this last time he gave up 4 tenths of a second, so not ideal that time around, but he was letting the 18 on through. Adam Cabot came down. It looks like he might have taken a 2-tire pit stop. He currently rides 2 laps down in 12th, so actually lost some ground because of that. Cody Maurer was able to leapfrog him after he pit, and these guys are on pretty equal tires, and Cabot is essentially a whole lap behind him. So, or rather, he's 9 seconds behind the 18. I'm seeing the 00 on the racetrack here in a similar paint scheme. But the 17, yeah, you can see 2 tires on that car, definitely going to speed him up a little bit. As big slide from Braxton DeWeese in front of him. And we'll see if Cabot can get one of his laps back the hard way.
Yeah, and even if he does get one of his laps back, he's still got Cody Maurer, Michael Jones, and Cody Atkins that are also 1 lap down. So he would be... he would still have his work cut out for him. We know he's got a lot of speed in the car, but that is a lot of ground to try to make up. and especially with the 18 of Mauer having pretty fresh tires as well. Adam Cabot only has a 3-lap advantage and currently riding about 9 seconds back of Mauer as well. So, yeah, it's definitely an uphill battle for the driver of the 17 at this point, but got a battle for position here inside the top 5 that is starting to close up just a little bit. Dallas Sullivan has that 4th position. Angelo Ronas currently riding in 5th. And Angelo's starting to slowly but surely creep up into this battle. Both of them pretty even on tires. Angelo does have 1 lap fresher, or no, I'm sorry. Dallas actually has 1 lap fresher on his tires compared to the 22, but still Angelo able to start to close in a little bit here on him.
Yeah, both these guys are big movers tonight. Up 8 positions for Dallas Sullivan, and he's been involved in a couple things. Angelo Ronas also has had some damage at points here tonight. He's up 6 spots from where he started. Biggest mover of the race so far, though, is Alan Dice, running in the 8th place. He's the last car on the lead lap, still about 12 seconds ahead of Seth Hatchell. And at the rate they're running, I'm not sure that he would get lapped. So good, solid run for Alan. Going to try and come out of here with a top 10 finish after starting back in the 18th place. So good, solid performance. And he's had to recover a couple of times from damage on that race car. So a lot of good rebounds here in this race tonight, and a lot of mistakes made as well by lots of key chase drivers.
Yeah, that's really been the name of the game throughout the evening, is just keep it clean, don't beat yourself. And right now, the 8 of Seth Hatchell is doing just that. 3.5 seconds up on Bailey Turner. And I've been watching their lap times. There's maybe a lap here or there where Bailey takes a pretty good chunk out of that lead, maybe 2 to 3 tenths, but then they'll go right back to running pretty even on the lap times. Last time around, they were just about dead even. See what the gap is at the line this time between the 2 of them. And Bailey Turner was about 2 tenths faster this lap. But yeah, he's going to have to do that pretty consistently just about every single lap to even just get a chance to get up there. Now, the one thing that Turner may have working for him is it looks like Adam Cabot with those fresher tires should be able to get up there and get one of his laps back the old-fashioned way. And if he does, how much could that potentially hurt the 8 of Seth Hatchell with the lap times?
Yeah, this time at the stripe, Seth at 31.75, Bailey at 31.54, so another 2 tenths. Braxton DeWeese is basically running the same time as Seth Hatchell, but he's a few more seconds behind. You can see he's just there at the top of the screen. But Seth, yeah, it's just starting to feel the tires, I think, on this end of the racetrack especially is where he seems to lose a lot of ground. But had a good, solid exit that time, 31.78. He's been very consistent. Bailey's been a little bit up and down. That time, just a tenth faster. And the gap's still over 3 seconds. And yeah, Cabot is closing in. He's still got a ways to go to get to Seth Hatchell. It's probably 5 or 6 more laps before he can get there. So Seth really not probably all that worried about when that happens, unless Adam really just tries to, get in his way.
Yeah, still has plenty of gap to play with over the second place driver, Bailey Turner. We've got 15 laps to go, 3-second lead. Turner would have to be pretty consistently 2 tenths plus a lap faster to be able to just to get there. And then that's not even accounting for, whether Seth has been saving, whatever the case is the 5 of Alan Dice is really slow on the bottom of the track. Looks like some pretty heavy damage to the right front of that car as well. So some contact with the wall here, gets loose, gets down on the apron, trying to fight it, trying to save it. And again, we see that you counter steer into it.
Big hit,
and just
too.
Massive hit to the outside wall for the 5 of Alan Dice.
I can't believe that wasn't a caution because he was going so slow and that car was pointed, 45 degrees the way it wasn't supposed to be. And there were cars coming up behind him. This is unusual for that to not generate a caution at that kind of pace difference. But yeah, not going to be the finish that the 5 car has earned here tonight, right? He really had some good speed and had come back from a lot, but still gonna have a good, decent finish in likely 13th place when it's all said and done. Ray Massey might be able to leapfrog him there, as here comes the 17 of Adam Cabot, going to try and get back to 1 lap down. And with Alan Dice getting knocked out of it there, he gets a point back, so that's important for him. And now to the outside of the race leader to get back to that 1 lap down.
Yeah, and the biggest thing too is if he gets back to 1 lap down, if a caution does come out, even if he's not in the free pass position, he'll still have the opportunity to take a wave around, just knowing that all the leaders will come down, get fresh tires, and it at least puts him back on the lead lap, where if we get a subsequent caution, he can get himself back on even tires and try to pick up a few more places that way as well. But the 8 of Hatchell doesn't lose a ton of time here running behind the 17 of Adam Cabot, and Seth not really putting up a fight there. Doesn't really need to at this point, just focusing on trying to bring home this win.
I thought I might have heard him clutch it right there down into turn 1. We'll see this time into turn 3 what he's doing. You know, last run he was behind other drivers, so might have benefited from the draft just a little bit, but I think he's been saving maybe on the, you know, on the first part of this run and kind of all throughout just a little bit, and now able to kind of just get back up to running normal pace here. And it looks like at the stripe just about a 0.5 is the difference now between Bailey Turner and Seth Hatchell.
Yeah, and especially because he did have such a massive lead, you know, that he's going to be keeping an eye on the black box in iRacing, seeing where he's at on that fuel, and knowing that he does have a pretty big gap, that he can afford to give up some of that time to just manage that fuel and make sure he's got enough to get to the end. But Bailey Turner still running in the 2nd position. And the important thing is he's close enough that if something does happen with the 8, where there is a bobble, whether it's a mistake on track, whether it's fuel, whatever the case is, Bailey Turner would be close enough to take advantage of that.
Yeah, that's for sure. Just looking at lap times this last time around, Seth Hatchell was able to pick up the pace again, and he was faster by a 1/10.5. Bailey's starting to push that race car, and he's pushed it this whole run to make up this distance, and now they're basically back to even on tires and pace. And Braxton DeWeese is now your fastest car on the racetrack, other than Adam Cabot on fresher tires. And Braxton, if he could run a handful of good clean laps here, maybe he's got a shot to put some pressure on Bailey for 2nd. It's about 2.5 seconds, basically the same distance between 1st and 2nd and 2nd and 3rd. And no other battles to speak of. Everybody pretty spaced out here. Even Angelo Ronis has fallen back from Dallas Sullivan a bit.
Yeah, and Dallas Sullivan did a nice job of maintaining that 4th position when Angelo Ronis started to put a little bit of pressure on, and Ronis now dropping back just a bit. And we talked about Jeff Wright. He's worked his way back up into the 6th position from his pit road miscue that he had. And yeah, just a lot of drivers that, even though we did see quite a few mistakes on the evening, a lot of drivers still able to salvage some pretty good finishes out of this as a result. Just, that is not a characteristic that we see a lot out of BTDY when you're looking down the timing and scoring pylon and seeing so many drivers out of the race. I mean, Alan Dice is out now with that damage that he just had. James Loveland, Chris Samard, Rob Liedl, Zach Smith, Thomas Brendel, and Dennis Faircloth all out of the race. I mean, we're so used to seeing pretty much the entire field finish these races here.
Yeah, just wanted to give a big shout out to Paul Hahn here. He's led a lap tonight. He was involved in that lap 2 wreck. Remember, he got on the apron, the car went around, and he made some serious contact in that accident. And he's been able to recover all the way back now up to 7th. Last car on the lead lap. Solid run for him. So really nice job there. He's going to be your biggest mover if things stay as they are. So impressive to be able to recover from lap number 2 and hopefully come out of here with a top 10. He's fighting for that best of the rest in the championship and would likely extend that gap after tonight's race. Seth Hatchell now 4 laps to go, and the lead's still 2.2 seconds. Looks like it's stabilized at this point.
Yeah, it would take a mistake out of the 8 of Seth Hatchell at this point for Bailey Turner to be able to get there. Seth trying for his second win of the season. Came home with the win earlier at Charlotte Motor Speedway and was able to bring home the win there. Trying for his second here tonight. And I mean, a great way, if he's able to hang on for these last 3 laps, a great way to kind of right the ship. You know, we talked about it when he had that lap 1 incident that he got caught up in. This has not been the start to the playoffs or chase rather that he has hoped for. Just kind of been a little bit snake bitten here in the early going, but this is a great way to kind of kick off the second half of it and try to right the ship.
Yeah, try and mount a charge to get up there and get what would be his 3rd championship here in BTDY. Adam Cabot, though, trying to get a point back. He's got Michael Jones just in front of him, and then just in front of them, it's Cody Maurer. So, you know, that's 2 more points available for the 17 right here in the last couple of laps. Seth Hatchell just 2 laps to go and not too far behind these guys. And Cabot, this is a really important moment for him. If he can capture these, that would be huge potentially to minimizing the damage from his mistakes here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got to try to get these to maintain any kind of points that he can on the evening. But 1 to go. White flag is in the air for your race leader, Seth Hatchell. Just 1 lap away from the win here at Kansas Motor Speedway. Seems to have plenty of fuel in the tank. 2 seconds in hand over the 24 of Bailey Turner. Just 1 last time through turns number 3 and 4. Coming to the checkered flag, Seth Hatchell getting the ship back in order, and he is going to win here at Kansas.
Yeah, 2nd win of the season. Great drive from him here tonight. Had the long run pace, had the strategy. Let's take a look at Adam Cabot. Look at this, 3 cars under a blanket here coming to the checkered. Michael Jones down there on the inside. Cabot has it all wound up on the top. Cody Maurer down there on the inside, slow. That's going to give an opportunity for the 17 of Adam Cabot to get through.
Oh, he's going to be able to get both of them on the last lap.
Wow, that's a big moment in this championship. Might not seem like it for a 9th place finish, 1 lap down, but holy moly, that's huge, those 2 points.
Yeah, in a format like this where it's not win and you're in, win in advance, and it's based on total points, those 2 points could be the difference between winning a championship and losing a championship. I believe he actually still had the most laps led, just barely over the 8 of Seth Hatchell as well. So another key point there for him. But your race winner this evening, the 8 of Seth Hatchell. He's burning it down on the front straightaway after a great recovery drive and comeback win. We're going to let him get his celebration going here and celebrate this hard-fought victory. We'll take a quick commercial break and be right back with you to catch a word from our top 3.
At Cynthia Rogers, MD Dermatology, we specialize in providing comprehensive expert care for the full spectrum of skin conditions, from complex skin diseases and skin cancer to aging concerns and aesthetic needs. With decades of combined experience in medical, surgical, and aesthetic dermatology, our team brings both deep clinical knowledge and a patient-first approach to every visit. Our practice focuses on developing personalized treatment plans tailored to each individual's skin, health, and life stage. We're located in Port St. Lucie, Florida, in the PSL Professional Center. Learn more or schedule a visit at floridaskindoctor.com.
Steel Graphics and Designs creates custom racing wraps and logos built for the real world and iRacing. From bold liveries to clean, professional branding, every design is made to perform on and off the track. Ready to upgrade your look? Contact Steel Graphics and Designs for custom wraps. Visit Steel Graphics and Designs on Facebook to learn more.
Backed by 70 years of experience, Duncan Water Systems specializes in commercial and residential water system testing, design, installation, and maintenance. Our mission at Duncan Water Systems is to provide high-quality water solutions to every customer. We pride ourselves on being responsive, honest, and customer-oriented. Our priority is safer water for you and your family. Contact us via call, text, email, or visit us at duncanwatersystems.com.
Welcome back to Kansas Speedway for the Duncan Water Systems 210 here in the FloridaSkinDoctor.com BTDY Racing Series. Let's go ahead and take a look at your full race finishing results. Let you know where your favorite driver ended up here this evening. Seth Hatchell, what a recovery drive for him. He's going to be your race winner. Bailey Turner coming home in P2 here tonight with Braxton Deweese rounding out your podium. We'll hear from each of them in just a moment. Dallas Sullivan with another really strong run. He comes home in fourth with Angelo Ronis in the fifth position. Jeff Wright recovers from the pit road miscue, finishes in sixth with Paul Hahn in seventh. Cody Atkins, first car, one lap down, comes home in eighth. Adam Cabot still able to salvage a ninth place finish out of the evening. And Cody Maurer comes home in 10th.
Finishing 11th here tonight, it's Michael Jones in the number 2 machine. Ray Massey able to salvage a 12th place finish, getting back on the racetrack there after an early accident. Alan Dice with a late incident, going to come home in the 13th position. James Loveland finishes 14th here tonight. Chris Samard, strong speed in the opening part of this race, gets collected with a little contact from the 18th, comes home in the 15th position. Rob Liedel will finish in 16th here tonight. Zach Smith finishes in 17th. Dennis Faircloth in 18th. And Thomas Brendel going to round out your field here in 19th.
That's your full race finishing results here this evening. Let's go ahead and catch up with our top three finishers, starting with the third place man here this evening, Braxton Deweese. This is Daniel up in the VSPEED booth. You got me?
I got you.
Well, man, kind of a quiet night for you, but given what we saw out of the rest of the field, that's honestly not a bad thing. Come home with a P3, good points night. Was it as treacherous out there behind the wheel as it looked to us up here in the broadcast booth?
At certain points, it definitely was. I had a couple incidents there. I thought I was gonna loop it around, especially there later in the race. I got real loose out of two. I feel like that was the main spot where it was real edgy. Was out of two and kind of there down there on the apron, getting back. I got a little loose there. Might have clipped the grass or either way, it was real on edge going down there and just coming off two. But yeah, I figured out in the last run there what I needed to do myself personally. Kind of kept the gap around the same to Bailey there at the end. He put it a lap after me and kind of kept the gap there as long as I kept it consistent. I needed that in the beginning of the race. I just got to prepare myself a little bit more. You know, we haven't finished worse than third thus far, so we just need to keep on keeping on and just try to prepare ourselves a little bit more. It's just going to get more tough, and he's bank on Adam having problems. So although he had one tonight, he's not always had more problems during the chase here than the entire season, I feel like. But that don't mean nothing. I feel like we still have to get at least a couple wins if we want to contend for the championship. But I think that should put us closer to it, if not the leader. So either way, we just got to keep on keeping on.
Well, and you mentioned it with Adam Cabot running into problems tonight. I know he does get bonus points for leading a lap, and I believe he led the most laps as well. So if it doesn't give you the lead, it's going to basically put you in a dead even heat with Adam Cabot as we get into the second half of the chase. Of course, we got the wild card next week at Talladega as well. So how are you feeling as far as just racing the 17 and really the 24 also, just kind of heads up for these last four races?
Well, I'm just happy to be in this opportunity to be able to be racing against them and be in the spot that we're in after tonight. Just how the season has gone, I didn't really expect to have an opportunity to fight them for the championship. But, halfway through, we're to the point to where we realistically have a shot as long as we don't screw up like I said, I still get a couple wins, but going to Dega and Bristol after that, I feel really good at Bristol, and Dega, that's a wild card. Anything can happen there, so we'll just try to do our best. I'm just glad that, like I said, I'm in this position, and we got tracks that I feel pretty comfortable at coming up. So I just got to prepare myself. It's what it's all about.
Well, solid run for you. You're definitely putting your name out there as far as a championship threat here this season. Congrats on the podium. Before we let you go this evening, who do you want to thank or shout out for it?
Yeah, for sure. Big shout out to Interstate Ford. Had a lot of success with them on the car and had a lot of championships with them here on the sim. So it'd be awesome to be able to get the BTDY FloridaSkin.com Racing Series Championship this year with them. It's like some pretty good competition to say the least. So it would feel really, really good to be able to get that. But we still have 5 more weeks, so anything can happen. I'm just glad to be able to have them colors on the car and doing well thus far. Big shout out to 3 Dips Ice Cream Shop as well. Steak Time, Deweese Renovations, Superior Sim Racing. You can use the code BDR5 for 5% off over there in the checkout. Elevated TV, Ghost Train, Wooden Nickel Band. They have a show this Friday and next Friday for anybody in the Miamisburg or Dayton area. They have it at the Barrel Friday, and then they'll have a Good Time Charlie's the following Friday. So shout out to them, as well as 7 Pinata Designs, Phillips Designs, Phillips Wraps and Graphics, I should say. Our Pete's House in Winchester, Indiana, Beaver Contracting, sponsoring the Roadsters at Anderson. Just had my first race there this past weekend. We might have been running on 2 cylinders out of the 4 we had. We're not too sure. Either way, we were really down on power and had old tires. So I'm going to be making that video. Hope to have that out this week. And I appreciate you guys for letting me ramble on. Hopefully we can be rambling a little bit more in Victory Lane next week.
Well, congrats on the podium finish, closing up that championship gap. Best of luck to you next week at Talladega.
I appreciate it. Y'all take care.
There you have it from our 3rd place finisher, Braxton Deweese. And Adam, I believe you have caught up with the runner-up, Bailey Turner.
Hey, Bailey, this is Adam and Daniel in the booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Well, Bailey, runner-up finish here at Kansas. You lead 32 laps. You had a long distance to make up to Seth there, just not quite enough to close the gap. But just tell us about the race here tonight. It looked pretty sketchy at points for a lot of you guys out there.
Yeah, it was kind of an up and down day. We got the lead there, and we're managing the race against Adam. Realistically, he was the one I was looking to stay ahead of throughout the race. And once he got by me on the on pit road there, my race just kind of went into. I already had looked at the fuel numbers and looked how close it was going to be, and I was going to start saving before we ended up getting that yellow after a couple laps. And then at that point, I take you take every advantage you can, especially when you don't have clean air, and I decided to come down and take 2 tires, fill up on fuel, come back down and top it off, and just make sure we were good, and try to pull a little strategy game there on those guys. And Seth he ran a great race, saved his stuff, and he just built up too big of a gap to me on the that second to last run, and just insurmountable at that point. I knew even if I made up those 2 seconds, it was going to be tough to pass, just because he was probably doing a good job saving his tires while saving fuel that last run. And once I knew Capit was out of the race, my attention turned to Braxton, and I just you don't want to give up any points to the guy that's ahead of you in points already. So kind of just turned that race into most likely knowing I was going to finish P2 throughout the entire run, and just trying to manage the tires to get there.
Yeah, and you did exactly that. Came across the line, 2nd place, going to make a big dent in that points lead to the 17, and then gain some points on the 00 there behind you. When we go to Talladega and just a few more races left in this season, how do you feel going out there now with the gap closed a little bit more?
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I mean, normally, me and Adam, we work so well together on the plate races and things like that, but not quite sure he'll want to work together the whole time, considering the situation with points and everything in the championship. And you're just really trying to, in the race, on that kind of race, just not make any mistakes, and you don't want to bleed any points. So got to do a smart race, kind of just be there at the end. And we're not stage racing or anything like that, so the most important thing is, like I said, just being there at the end. So we get there at the end and we can make a few moves. Hopefully we can gain a few points on those guys, because at the end of the day, that's all that really matters right now. We're just points racing.
Yeah, definitely getting closer in the standings after tonight's result. You come home runner-up after leading those 32 laps and starting up there on the front row as well. Anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, everybody over there, Sad Boys. It was good to have Jeff in there with us tonight. I know he doesn't like this car, but Kansas is his home track, so good to see him out here. Obviously, Dennis Faircloth putting the paints together for everybody, and also what he did for Gemmel, so that's pretty cool. And excited to kind of go watch that. And you guys are obviously up in the booth. Appreciate you guys spending your Tuesday nights out here broadcasting some sim racing.
Awesome, Bailey. Well, congrats on another great finish and great performance here, and we'll catch you at Talladega next week.
Appreciate it.
That is your second place finisher, Bailey Turner. Going to make a big dent in the points lead, but an even bigger dent coming from the number 8 machine, Seth Hatchell, sitting in victory lane.
Hey, Seth, this is Daniel up VSPEED booth. You got me?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, man, first off, congrats on the win. You did, just a fantastic job of fighting back from the early lap incident. We kind of talked about during that opening caution, this has not been by any stretch the ideal start to the chase for you, getting caught up in some other messes. And it seemed like tonight was going the same way after lap number 1, but able to keep your head in it and get up there on the top of the podium. How difficult was it after that opening lap incident to really just reset yourself mentally and keep yourself in it with the way that these last few races have gone?
Yeah, it was tough for sure. I was thinking honestly the same way you were saying there. Whatever it was, lap 1 got involved in that wreck, and thinking, man, what do I got to do to get something going here? And a lot of it in the chase here has been of my own doing, but it definitely hurts the confidence for sure. But got a couple short runs. I think we got 2 more cautions, something like that. Shorter runs to sort of figure out what I had. If there was any, lasting damage on the car, I got all I had fixed. And sort of just see how it raced around people. And I knew if we got a long run, I'd be all right. Just short run, I struggled really bad with the dirty air. And then I think you probably also saw guys getting aero loose off the corner if a guy was packing air on you. And so had that caution. I stayed out with Adam, I believe, and a lot of those guys behind us pit, and I just let those guys go when they got to me because I knew saving tires, just wrapping the bottom was really going to pay off, which is kind of odd for Kansas, but that's just how it was tonight. So stayed super disciplined, and when that paid off there right before the green flag pit stop, that really helped the confidence a lot. Then I really knew I had something. Thankfully was able to build a really big lead before the pit stop, and then short pitting those guys a little bit, had a huge lead to save fuel that last run and come home with the victory.
Well, halfway through the chase, this was the official halfway point. Got 2 wild card races coming up with Talladega and Bristol. You're able to cut the points gap down to 19 to the points leader, Adam Cabot, after tonight's effort. Do you feel like you could go on a run here and maybe get yourself up there in contention for that championship over these next 4?
It's certainly going to be tough, but I don't see why not. Somebody's got to win all those races. So we'll do everything we can to make sure it's us in the 8 car.
Well, hey, there's nothing more fitting than an 8 car in victory lane at Talladega. So we'll see if you could go back to back next week. But man, congrats on the win. That was just a great recovery coming back from that early incident, getting the ship righted here. Before we let you go, who do you want to thank or shout out for this one?
Yeah, I got to thank you guys doing a great job with the broadcast. I got to thank Duncan Water Systems being the sponsor for tonight's race. Florida Skin Doctor for being on board for the series and all the series sponsors. Cody, all the admins doing a great job running this league. Have a great place for everyone to race. All the drivers putting on a great race for everybody to watch, and my team VSPEED.
Well, there you have it from the race winner, Seth Hatchell. Congrats again, buddy, on the win. You definitely earned it, and we will see you next week at Talladega.
Sounds good. Thank you.
That'll do it for our post-race interviews here this evening. And Adam, we talked about how great the racing is at Kansas, especially in the next gen. Maybe not quite exactly what we were thinking we were going to see here this evening, but still a wild one, a lot of side-by-side racing. And at the end of the day, Seth Hatchell able to get himself back on track here in this chase.
Yeah, definitely a great performance from the 8 car and so many others here, but definitely a race of attrition more so than I would have expected. Kansas is not generally that type of race. You know, maybe back in the day when you could only ever run up against the outside wall, you'd see a lot of guys get damaged and then maybe not keep up. But this was different here tonight, like they had said kind of in the pre race, and a lot of fun and definitely the strategy call there from the 8 machine, and his long run pace, proved the ultimate, ultimate here.
Yeah, definitely an entertaining one from start to finish. But next week, we're going to throw these drivers a curveball as we head to Talladega for some super speedway racing. We've been saying it's kind of a wild card race. I feel like we've said that for about half of them so far. We said that about Dover after the race was over, said that about the Glen, talking about it for Talladega next week. But it's going to be a good one. Could shake up the points even more. And we'll bring you every lap of the action live right here on VSPEED. But that's going to do it for our coverage here this evening. So on behalf of all the admins here at BTDY and for everybody at VSPEED, Bradley Cooper, Morgan Cook, Eddie Smith, and of course my colleague up here in the booth, Adam Baker. And as always, thank you to Dougie Beard for all the camera angles that we have here. My name's Daniel Cunningham. Join us next week as we head down to Alabama for the Super Speedway race in the Chase at Dega. Thank you for tuning in, and good night, everyone.